Cowboys? Cowboys? Eagles had the biggest comeback of 2018.
Lil Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. So we let go of 2 positional coaches. What does that tell you? Huh? Defensive line coach, wide receiver coach. We let him go. For what? For what? Derek Barnett been hurt most of the year. It was hard integrating Michael Bennett into this equation. Chris Long has kind of been non-existent, in my opinion. Not really much edge pressure from him all year. Brandon Graham was hurt. You know, just a slew of things that didn't manifest off the defensive line. Now to be completely fair and just be 100% critical of my team, the defensive line let us down, in my opinion, more than the secondary did this year. They let us down because if you're not getting pressure with the names that we got on in the front 4, if you're not getting pressure, you're going to leave the secondary out there high to dry. You're going to leave them out there high and dry. You got to get pressure. You got to help the secondary out. And that's something that we didn't do in at least the first 7 games of the season. At least the first 7 games of the season. We couldn't pressure Marcus Mariota. He threw for 300 yards on us. Who else had a huge game against us in the beginning of the season? Couldn't get any pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Couldn't get any pressure on Cam Newton when he came back from 17 points down. Those are 3 games you should have won. Almost lost to Blake Bortles. Couldn't get any pressure on him. Almost lost to Matt Ryan. We have no convincing wins under our belt this year for the most part. You know what I mean? You almost lost to a lot of teams because a lot of quarterbacks who normally don't have heavy passing games had heavy passing games on us. If you get consistent pressure and if you dial up, can you really blame the defensive coach, or is it the scheme? Is it the scheme? For the last 2 or 3 years, we've been thinking that we could just rush 4. We've been thinking we can get there with 4. We barely bring any blitzes. Timmy Jernigan been hurt. Brandon Graham been hurt. I mean, can you really blame them? But at the same time, no pressure equals young cornerbacks getting torched. Equals cornerbacks getting torched, period. Marcus Mariota should never had the day he had against us. He shouldn't have had the day he had against us. No. When we was getting, look at, now granted, Mitchell Trubisky was a rookie during our first meeting, not the playoff game. But if you get the pressure on Mitchell Trubisky like we got against Mitchell Trubisky in the first meeting, Mitchell Trubisky he doesn't even get them in field goal range. You see what I'm saying? A lot of quarterbacks had all day to throw. We barely could get anybody off of the field on 3rd down. We couldn't do it. We could not do it. I don't even think we touched Drew Brees in the first game. So, I mean, the defensive line, is a point of emphasis. You got to be real about the defensive line. The defensive line, overall, the defensive line's grade is about a C. About a C. Now, they came on strong the last five games of the season. But is it coaching? I mean, you got the big name players. You got the personnel. You think somebody else is going to be able to motivate them to get them play even hungrier? No. I think what motivated them was it's starting to sink in that they weren't going to make the playoffs after being defended Super Bowl champions. They were not going to make the playoffs. That's what motivated them. Being embarrassed is what motivated them. You know what I mean? And how can you fire anybody on the staff after how we finished? But if the defensive line plays like that all year, we win the division, I think. Now, the wide receiver coach. Alshon Jeffries didn't play the first 2 games. Zach Ertz, I don't know if it's a tight end coach or a wide receiver coach. I don't know if it's the same, how they do it in the NFL. Zach Ertz had a good year, but we didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. We barely ran the ball. A lot of people were saying we were getting away from the run within like the first 9-10 games of the season. So with barely running the ball and you're a pass-happy offense, for the most of the first half of the season, why don't you have a 1,000-yard receiver? We all know Carson Wentz was target happy with Zach Ertz. We all know Carson Wentz was target happy with Zach Ertz. But the failure on the wide receivers, I'm guessing, if that's why he was fired, how could you fire a wide receiver coach without even evaluating Mike Groh? How could you not evaluate Mike Groh? Mike Groh called some of the worst play calls in the history of Eagles football. I'll never be able to burn the image out of my mind of Carson Wentz trying to run a quarterback keeper for like a what was it, like a 4-4 or like a 3rd and 4 or something like that. It was pathetic. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And you can tell Doug's play calling style from Mike Groh's. Towards the end of the year, when it was do or die, it was Doug Peterson. I think the Philadelphia Eagles could save some money and make Doug Peterson a head coach who calls plays. You don't need an offensive coordinator to call plays. You just need him to help you draw up ideas. Because, I mean, his ideas weren't bad, but the when he called them, the when and the where was terrible. It was terrible. So I think defensive line coach being let go, I think that's justifiable. The wide receiver coach being let go, I think him and Mike Groh it's kind of yin and yang. It's kind of yin and yang. Mike Groh admitted that he didn't know what to do with Golden Tate. And it showed. It showed, man. It showed he didn't know what to do with Golden Tate. Golden Tate ain't nobody you send deep on a fly route. Golden Tate is in the field. Golden Tate is a problem in between the tackles. We didn't use him right. Barely used Nelson Aguilar right. We started using Alshon Jeffrey properly when we thought we wasn't going to go nowhere. I mean, Nick Foles is the only one that was using them properly. Let's be real, man. And for Carson Wentz to move forward, Carson Wentz is going to have to spread the ball around. He's going to have to spread the ball around. He's going to have to spread the ball around. Positional coaches being fired and coordinators not being, not being held accountable is kind of crazy, because if I'm an offensive coordinator and my wide receiver coach gets fired, I got to look at myself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a defensive coordinator and my defensive line coach gets fired, I got to look at myself in the mirror. Like, why didn't I put my positions coach in a position to win? Because putting people in a position to win trickles from up top. The head coach got to put these coordinators in position to win. The head coach got to put these players with the right coordinators. The head coach got to select the right coordinators for his team. And they all collaborate for the hiring process of positional coaches, the right fits for their team. A lot of guys on our team this year weren't in the right place to succeed, and that is not to the fault of positional coaches. Everything needs to be looked at. Everything needs to be analyzed. And all in all, do I think that letting these guys go was just? Absolutely. For the defensive line coach, it was just. It was just. The wide receivers coach, let me know what you guys think, man. Let me know what y'all think.